Hello, welcome back to my channel, Antoinette here. So I'm doing an unasked for VR to April at Tarot and Witchery, and she's just done a video about her 6 underrated oracle decks. Oracle decks don't get a whole lot of love from me in general because I think I prefer tarot decks, the artistic license of them, but the fact that they still come with a fairly strict method of reading or ability to read them, whereas with the oracle decks they have beautiful artwork. My fantasy self would love to have all the oracle decks available and read them, but I find that they take more time for me a lot of the time. I need to use the guidebook because they're so abstract. Not always does the wording match the card, and for that reason when I just want a quick answer, I turn to tarot. That's my go-to sort of deck. Saying that, I did start with an oracle deck. An oracle deck was the first thing that I purchased for myself and my use, and fast moved on to tarot from there. So I've just got some notes, so excuse me for looking up and down, but what I've done is, so from the basis of her video, I've pulled out 6 themes to pull on my decks, and we're going to start with what I think is a good beginner's deck. So that'll be theme number 1. Number 2, within my collection, what I feel it's a truth teller or hard truths kind of deck, one that just sort of says it as it is without pulling any punches or any prettifying pictures. Number 3 will be the surprise deck, a deck that came into my collection that I wasn't really expecting to become a fast or firm favourite of mine, but nonetheless it has. And number 4, I'm going to do what she called a soul evolution deck. For me, that's something, she talked about it being one that teaches you lessons, it's thought-provoking, it takes you through the stages of life. But for me, I'm going to go with one that suits my practice for now and is very resonant for me, and that's why I'm calling it my soul evolution, because as you know, my channel is about my kind of spiritual journey, to be fair, and how it changes and evolves as I go. So right now, it's where I am in my practice and what's going on, and just what sort of resonates with me. So that's what I'm going to do for soul evolution. Number 5 is going to be the supportive deck, so a deck that I think is very supportive. It says what it does on the tin. And number 5 is my favourite oracle to use, so the one that I go back to time and time again and have always probably had in my collection. That's the 6 breakdowns of what I'm going to do here for the 6 underrated oracle decks, or hashtag decks you might not know. I haven't decided what to do the hashtag on, so I've put hashtag decks you might not know, but I think you probably will know all of the ones I have, to be honest, because I'm not, like I say, a big collector. I don't have an avid library of them. So I think maybe 6 underrated oracle decks. I might put them both in, and if you do choose to do a VR, then that would be wonderful, either to myself or to April, but yeah, it would be cool to see a VR go out around this subject. I have done previously a video which was a VR to elemental cartomancy, and the hashtag was how I use my oracles, or how I use oracle decks, and I've done a video to that, so I'll link it somewhere, either at the end of this video for you to peruse, or maybe downstairs in chat, or perhaps I'll even pin it so that you can easily find it if you want to see other ways in which I use oracle decks. And there are many, trust me. I couldn't actually believe how many ways in which I use them, other than for reading or pulling a card or morning draws. So that'll be exciting to see if you want to see that one, or you're looking for more inspiration on what to do with your oracles. Right, I'm going to start then with deck number 1. So this deck is available on Amazon. I'm not going to put a link down below, you can easily find it. And it is a Denise Lynn deck, so I've gone for something that's easily purchasable, and one that, to be fair, was one of the early ones in my own collection, or it's probably, I think it might be my 2nd deck, to be honest, and I still go back to it time and time again now for messages, and it is the Sacred Destiny Oracle by Denise Lynn. She does some fantastic decks. She's much loved throughout the community. I only own this one by her. I have seen another one that's tempting me, to be fair, but I think I don't need to buy them for FOMO, and what I've got is a pretty good collection. So for starting out, her book is a nice, easy book. So when you get the cards, The book is very quick to explain what's going on, so you get a bit of explanation about the card and what's going on in the card, and you don't have to read that. And then on the next page you'll get what this card wants you to know, and it's about 2 tiny little paragraphs. So just to show you this one, starting from here down, that's what the card wants you to know. These have beautiful backs, and I have seen another deck with backs like this, so I thought somebody was using this deck, but it wasn't, it was something else. And we have a keyword. This one is purification and a beautiful sunflower. And the artwork, you can kind of like dip into them. The keywords are there to help me get into the keywords. When I got it as a beginner, I did use the book a lot, and then it kind of helped me to better understand the words that we have here. But the artwork started to then bring out other things. So once I'd learned how to use the deck, I was able to use it in a different way. I was able to use it more as intuitive reading, intuitive what's going on in the scenery. What else does that word mean to me? So I think this one's New Beginnings. I love that. The sun rising on the horizon, bringing a new day, new dawn, new adventures. But yeah, so this deck, as I say, is one that I would definitely recommend for beginners. It's not very expensive. I think it's about £18 on Amazon, and that's Denise Lynn's Sacred Destiny. So moving on to number 2, that is the Truth Teller deck. So the hard-hitting kind of deck that I found really doesn't pull a lot of punches. I have 2 for this category. So if I do the small one first, did that give it away? So we have Mildred Paynes Secret Pocket Oracle, only available from deviantmoon.com. So make sure you go there if you want to buy one. Anywhere else it's probably going to be a rip-off. So to avoid disappointment and quality. And this is kind of a dark, bloody deck. It's just a keyword and a symbol. And the idea behind this is you read it as that means whatever it means to you. So what does a flower or a rose, you know, are you looking to the dripping blood? Are you looking at the numbers? The ladder, what does the ladder signify to you? Are you climbing up? Are you climbing down? Are you playing snakes and ladders? There's so many things, the eye. There's so many ways in which this deck can be used, but as a clarifier on top of a reading, you just throw them down to see what's happening. I have found it to be pretty spot on, quite accurate, and it does come with a downloadable guidebook. And I don't really use that a lot, to be fair. Just to start with, to get me to feel, because I'm not great at feeling into words, but to feel into the words. That's when I use a guidebook, and then if I can, I put them down again. But that doesn't mean it's something you don't have to use if you're reading for yourself. I thoroughly, wholeheartedly recommend a guidebook. It makes life so much easier sometimes. And the other deck, which was a surprise to me, and when I first got this one, I put it away because I thought it was rubbish, and then I put it back out and realised actually it's not rubbish, I just wasn't understanding it or in a place to want to understand it at that point in time, and that is this one. So we have the the Oracle of Shadows and Light, which is a Lucy Cavendish deck, and the artwork is by Jasmine Beckett Griffiths. And for those who have seen some of my other videos, she was one of my first favourite artists that I started collecting decks for because I just loved the art. But Lucy Cavendish's book and guidebook that goes alongside all of this as well is amazing. So for this deck, I do recommend the guidebook. Within the guidebook, you get like your card, and you get a bit about the card, you get the bit where the card speaks to you directly and asks you questions, and then you get what the card's telling you, what it wants you to know. And I do like the way it's split up into 3 things. And again, I usually don't read the first section. I'll read what it's wanting me to know, unless I'm not sure why the card popped out, for instance, and I want it as a starting point. Then I'll see what the card's saying to me and see if there's something in there for me. But this is definitely, again, a deck that is kind of a love-hate relationship for many because of the artwork. Sorry, the sun's just decided to come out. But it has the name of the card. We have some keywords down there. We have numbers at the top. And then we have obviously the artwork to sort of help provoke what's going on. this one, for me, it seemed to hit home. So if I wanted to know what's going to go on with my day, if my energy was feeling a bit funky or a bit off, this deck certainly told me when I needed to do things. It even tells you things like if you need to clean your home or cleanse your home or change up the energy of your home, you know, open the windows, let the wind blow through. So for that reason, I do love this deck, the kind of hard truths about, you know, maybe my life, my lifestyle, my friends, what I'm up to. That's what this deck does for me. So deck number 3 is the surprise deck. And this was truly, I resisted this deck for a long time. Resist is a strong word. I saw it, liked it, didn't really want it, didn't call to me. And then Sandra, I think at the Whispering Well, showed it again. And maybe I was in a different place with my journey, and it sort of said, you know, hello. So I bought it, and that is the Witch's Oracle. And this one is by Sally Morningstar, illustrated by Danuta Meyer, and it is from Edison Books. And again, it's really not a very expensive one, it's about £18. However, I didn't need the big box. And when I got it, I surprisingly flipped through the cards and thought, oh, I shouldn't have bought this. And then flipped through them a second time and just cut all the borders off, because it came with massive borders. So it was a normal size oracle. I don't know, I have anything to hand, do I? Okay, so this is it trimmed. It was bigger than this, I think, before trimming. So to give you an idea of what I've done with it. And yeah, it's become a kind of fast favourite. I used it for a long time. I didn't want to retire it in my rotations, my monthly rotations, but it's got really nice artwork. It is a little bit kind of witchy, but it brings a good message. The book brings an even stronger message with the images. It has some, you know, like bright primary colours. It also has that sort of Thoth inspired feeling to it, or maybe for some of you might feel more Kabbalistic type of imagery. It has that witchy aesthetic, but it doesn't necessarily just lean into witchy practice. To me, this leans into more sort of old traditional ways of workings, perhaps pagan connections to the earth. But like I say, the messages that come on it, so with the cauldron and the womb, cauldrons are, you know, the stirring pot for creation, what you're creating for yourself. And she's outside doing it, so that could be going out to the garden and making a garden patch for you, or vegetables or flowers or something, to bring something of joy into your life. So it's different on how you use that card. And I did make a little book to go with it, so I could pop it in a pouch. And I went through and copied the book into here in tiny writing, so that I could carry it around with me, because as I say, the book does bring and pack a lot more punch to this deck. And yeah, it did. It became a firm favourite, one I was not expecting. Number 4, so my soul evolution, where I'm at in my journey, leading on from that one really, to be fair. The first deck, for me, that's where I'm at and speaks to me the most, is the Seasons of the Witch Samhain edition. And this is the one with the red gilding, the one that I've had for well over a year. Love a lot. And it just has really nice, simple images, a nice muted colour palette. And it's really the message in the book, more for me, that makes these my soul evolution. And again, yes, that means that I would use the book for these for myself when I'm reading. If I was using them for somebody else, I don't know that I would use them for somebody else, to be honest. They'd have to be in the same space as me for me to use this for somebody else, because I think, as we know, you could easily sort of scare people. We have the Banshee. third harvest. So it speaks a lot to the Wheel of the Year, of course, because that's what this set of decks are designed to do. And the other one, which has become a firm favourite now, probably moving for this half of the year actually, is the Beltane version of this collection of decks from Rockpool. And this is the bees on the back, gold edges, a little bit more colourful in its presence, and it resonates with me and my growing up, my childhood. Beltane May Day has been a massive part of my growing up. Every year the town where I lived had a May Queen, a 3-day parade. They'd shut down on May Day or the weekend of May, bank holiday. So beginning of May we have a May bank holiday, 3-day weekend, and we would close the town centre and there'd be all sorts of things going on, including the crowning of the May Queen. There'd be the festivals on the field, parties on the field, the maypole dance, and it's something that's, yeah, it's just sort of ingrained. I know about it, really enjoyed it. It made that weekend for me, it made it a really fun weekend. I always looked forward to it. I looked forward to all the strange stalls and things that came into the town and everything going on. So this deck, for that reason, is still a part of me, my ingrown self. And I love it for that reason, as part of my sort of soul evolution journey, but it's still there, it hasn't left me. So yeah, so that's part of a piece of my soul, I suppose. It always will be. The supportive decks. Now then, you can't do this without having a nod to ColetteBaron-Reid, can you? So I have pulled two for this. I have the Enchanted Map Oracle. With Colette's decks, I recommend the guidebook because she creates them to guide you. They aren't all soft hitting. Some of them are a little bit, you know, okay, do I want to hear that? But she puts it in a nice way. She gives you a nice guidance on what to do. And I did do last year a series using this particular deck where I broke down a spread and did like 1 card a day and a little talk about what I felt with the cards and how I felt they were answering questions. So it does work, this deck. I have used it and used it in a more deep dive sort of way. So that one says Magic Prayer, and the artwork is just beautiful. And as I say, what I would do then is I would look at the card, do I feel anything particular, and then I would get the book out and I'd read the book and see what's going on. And it does like an inner and outer reading for you, like the Dragon's Lair. That sort of stuck in the mud feeling with the elephant there, you know, getting yourself out. You're feeling a bit weighed down, a bit bogged down. You're feeling lonely, do you need help getting out? All those sorts of things. Cleaning the house. I don't need to tell you what that one evokes for me. Time to get out and hoover. So that's deck number 1. Deck number 2 from her is the Oracle of the 7 Energies. This one's based on your 7 chakras, or your 7 energy systems in the body. And it is, again, another great guidebook. And with this one, actually, I felt that the keywords worked okay. I didn't need the book as much. Just the book for me just explained how the deck was created, how I break down 7 energies, where they lay within the cards, which involves a bit of maths on your old 7 times table for those who aren't great mathematicians. So the book is useful for that. But yeah, the artwork is gorgeous. You can sit and disappear into it. I don't use this one as much as I ought to be fair. Sometimes I use it just for like a 2-card reading. But she does design decks so that you can do that. So she'll give you spreads to use these with. And, you know, obviously ones where they're going to hit deep. They're not just what's going on today, what do I need to know. She'll give you a way of working with them and a good spread. But the animals and the depictions, I really, really like in this deck. I think it's beautiful. So those are the supportive decks. And as I say, they're by ColetteBaron-Reid. Both, actually, everything I've shown you except for the Secret Pocket Oracle. This is the only one that's available from a website. So this is deviantmoon.com and the artist is Patrick Valenza. Everything else I've shown you came from Amazon. And buyers beware. So when I purchase from Amazon, I make sure that it's the right size cards when I do my research, and I use Amazon because it's easier for me to get stuff from there than it is to go out shopping. I don't have a metaphysical store near me, certainly not one that would hold the variety of decks I have here. And I always check for the ISBN and make sure that the book comes with the deck and it's not a downloadable, because that's usually a big giveaway that it's fake, although lately legitimately sellers are doing downloadable books. So just a caveat there. Now then, so my all-time favourite, the one that I will come back to time and time again, this is the first one that ever entered my collection, and I love this deck. There are so many ways of working with it. And this is the Angels&Ancestors Oracle cards by Kyle Gray, and the artwork is by Lily Moses, and it looks like this. It comes with a great guidebook inside. It comes with a prayer inside as well, inside the deck. You get the message, you get a bit about the card, and you get an extended message from your card, which again is something that I really do enjoy with this one. So just to show you, so we get the card, a message, a bit more, and then a deeper message on the other side. So, and I enjoy the backs with these. So this was my, as I say, my first ever Oracle deck. This is the one that I started with, and it's set up. We have, let me just check, let's get it all right, because there are symbols, there are seasons, there are, we have sacred ones in this deck to work with, such as druids, elders, Father Sky, teachers, hermits, high priestesses, seers, shamans, Shaolin masters, shapeshifters, warriors, witches, wise ones. We have guardians in this deck for guardian messages. We have warrior symbols. We have the seasons. And in the warrior symbols, there are also animals. That's what I wanted to check. So I was about to break them out into a different section together. So, and they have different looks to them. So here is one of the symbols, which is seasons. So that's spring. Spring. So that's a season. These are the main cards. There's your warrior, traveller. My ultimate favourite. I think it's one of my favourite cards actually. It's our Father Sky. I love that card. So let's see if we can find what's in this season. Here we have a guardian. So here's our air guardian. Our protection guardian. And then symbols. So symbols look like seasons. There's our arrow. So you see the colour of the card and the setup of the card. They go on this like beigey background. It's very different. And here you have drum. And back to our main cards, she-wolf. So there are different ways of working with this deck as well. I like to ask who has a message for me, and then I like to sometimes pull a second card for what is the message, or this is who has a message for me, and the Sacred Destiny for beginners, the first deck that I talked about, that is what is the message that this deck has for me. So I use those two in conjunction quite a bit, and I like using them that way. It works really well for me. So that is the Oracle decks. That is the VR to tarot and witchery, and as I said, I'm not sure, but if you try, I'll link the hashtag somewhere, but I think I'm going to go with hashtag deck you may not know and hashtag 6 underrated, well actually it's more than 6, isn't it? Hashtag underrated Oracle decks perhaps. So thank you for watching.